Jai Sai Ram. Welcome to the August 2020 edition of Region 5 Souljourn. I have great pleasure in introducing Harsha Parmar. Harsha is a pharmacist and a senior lecturer at the University of Manchester. She has been living in Warrington, Region 5, from the age of 8 years. I have known Harsha as a Bal Vikas pupil at Sri Sathya Sai Centre, Warrington.
Sairam everyone, my humble pronouns at the lotus feet of our beloved Lord, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba.
Harsha, you grew up in a devout family, practicing Swami's teachings of truth, righteousness, peace and love, and above all, service activities. What were your early memories of Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba?
My early memories started off when we used to live in Cambridge, and we lived there until I was 8 years old. We attended bhajans in London at my auntie's house. She actually lived in Cranford, and they had a bhajan group there, so we would attend at the weekend, travel from Cambridge to London, and participate in bhajans there. Every day, whilst we were back in Cambridge, mum and dad would do early morning prayers, and we'd wake up to the voice of my dad singing bhajans. He used to sing the same set every day, so by the time we were 7, 8 years old, we knew a few bhajans at that point. And my mum used to work night shifts as well, so while she was at work and dad was putting us to sleep, that was his way of making us go to sleep, or his nursery rhymes. He used to sing bhajans, and we used to really enjoy ourselves listening to him. As I mentioned before, when we were 8, dad's job was transferred to Warrington, and we found ourselves in a strange place in the north of England, and we didn't really know anybody, so it was quite a transition at that point. Funnily enough, or it's not funnily enough, there's no such thing as a coincidence, is there, when Swami's around? Literally within walking distance, so less than 2 to 3 minutes walk, there was a Sai Centre, and it was a recently open Sai Centre. I think the first bhajans had happened the month before we arrived, and we came in December 1989. So we started to attend bhajans at Veera Uncle and Ratna's auntie's house, and we've been in Warrington ever since, and there grew from there SSE, and we attended SSE Bal Vikas there as well. We'd attend weekly Thursday bhajans as well in Warrington, and we were actually the first cohort of Bal Vikas students in Warrington Centre. And you'll remember, Auntie, that you actually started all those lessons, and you were our first guru, and here we find ourselves today. So even at that point, whilst we were attending bhajans in Warrington, we were participating in SSE, we'd still not physically seen Swami. So we had pictures of him in the house, and we knew a lot of the stories of Swami's childhood through, obviously, Auntie yourself teaching us all those stories, but we hadn't yet had the opportunity to go to India and see Swami. So a couple of years later, I think we might have been about 10 or 11, that's when we had our first real visit to India, and we were in Whitefield. So we went to the Vrindavan ashram there, and thereon every year we were blessed with the opportunity to go and see Swami. And we soon, whilst we were there, got into the routine of going to bhajans and attending Naga Sankirtan, and if in Prashanti, going to Suprabhatam early in the morning, and really immersing ourselves in Swami's presence. A couple of occasions when we went to see Swami, we were blessed individually. So Jaish, for example, that's my brother, he was given Vibhuti by Swami on a number of occasions. My dad and Jaish and Mum had their Japa malas blessed on one occasion where Swami put his hand on them. And on this particular occasion, we were in Kodaikanal, and I remember being very jealous because I was sitting a little bit further back from where Mum was, and Swami didn't touch my mala, and I remember being really upset by that. But lo and behold, after Swami had gone back into the hall, I looked at my japamala, and it was covered with sprinkles of vibhuti. So you know, he made sure that I was blessed, and I was happy too. That was a wonderful occasion. On my 13th birthday, when we were in Vrindavan, I prayed very hard to Swami to give me a birthday blessing, because we always used to go at Easter. So I was hoping that on one occasion, you know, he'll remember it's my birthday, and you know, something might happen. I may be blessed. And I was sitting in the front row, and I had a tray of sweets with me. And Swami came in through the ladies' side, and he walked straight past me. Didn't even bother to look at me. So I felt very, very upset. And I thought, oh, you know, maybe not today, maybe next year, maybe the year after. And then on his way back, he had a very cheeky smile, and he walked again on the ladies' side, which he didn't normally do. And he looked straight at me like this. And he took a handful of my sweets, and then he threw them, so you know, to the people around us who were able to take them. So that was really nice. I felt very, very blessed on that occasion. So those were my really early memories of Swami, where you know, we were in his physical presence, and we were beginning to understand what that means.
Thank you. You know, you joined the Bal Vikas, as you say, or the SSE, and you know, it's a program. Can you tell us what Bal Vikas program is, or SSE is, and why Swami places great importance to it?
So the Bal Vikas program, as you know, it was launched in 1969, and Swami almost said his words were that the end of education is character, and education without character is useless. Mm-hmm. So the sole purpose of Bal Vikas SSE education is to really bring about those human values that we all have within ourselves, and you know, promoting and developing our character, our spirituality. So you know, it's been going on, hasn't it, since a long time now. And then in the early sort of 1980s is when the Education in Human Values program came about as well. So I think it's about cultivating those spiritual tendencies and human values from a young age, you know, as soon as possible, really.
Wonderful. You know, you as I said, you completed your Bal Vikas program, and has the Bal Vikas education, as you just said, been important to you during your formative years, you know?
Oh, yes, absolutely, Auntie. And so I remember being a very shy child. You know, every school report that I had, it would be that, oh, Harsha is a very quiet and conscientious child. I'm sure my mum will remember those reports. And it's true, you know, I was quite hesitant to put my hand up or put myself forward to do things, extremely shy. But through SSE, I think that confidence, and certainly, you know, obviously with the guidance of Swami, that confidence really started to come through. And I don't think that's just happened to me. It's probably happened to lots and lots of young people and children across the world. So, you know, through doing the plays, the performances, the narrative activities, and even presenting programs as well, you know, from when I was a teenager and up until now, all those things have only come about through the confidence and the values that I personally feel that I've developed from going to Bal Vikas. So that certainly helped as well. Obviously the morals as well that are taught through SSE. I mean, for us, they were, you know, we'd almost have a study circle every day with my dad. He was very interested in spirituality, and my mum would actually sit in the SSE lessons with us to learn what we were doing, so she could help support it at home. And then she later went on to become an SSE teacher and coordinator for Warrington Centre as well. But I think it really helped that we were having these ongoing discussions at home. And because of that, we kind of lived and breathed those human values, and it even fell into the school world as well. Jason and I both attended Catholic schools, primary school, secondary school, and also sixth form college. So, you know, when you look at the two religions there, whether it's Hinduism or, you know, being a Christian, whatever it is, the same latent human values are there. And it was nice for us to be able to talk about those freely at school as well.
Mm-hmm. So I knew you enjoyed being part of the program. Could you describe to us some of the events that you participated in, regional and national celebrations?
Okay. Oh wow, that's taking me back some years now. It's quite interesting you mentioned that, because on our Region 5 YouTube channel, I think they recently put up some old videos from old programs. So I was watching a couple of those, and it really took me back to, you know, the sorts of things that we used to do. So we used to travel to London on an annual basis and participate in Ishwarama Day celebrations. So we go, you know, whether it was in a minibus or our individual cars, you know, we used to get up at the crack of dawn and be ready to do a play there or sing songs, or bhajans. So that was always an exciting annual event, and all taking part in that march where, you know, you felt very important, you know, representing Swami and his teachings. That was a really good memory. And of course, on a regional level, you know, we did a number of plays for all the major events. And there used to be hours and hours of practice going into those plays. You know, in the evenings when it was half term, we'd all be at either this house or Retnes Auntie and Vera Uncle's house for a good 3 to 4 hours, you know, rehearsing. And, you know, all those things that we did, all those skills, I'm sure they've helped each and every one of us in our adult lives up till now.
Did you take part in the Bal Vikas camp? We had a Bal Vikas camp. I think that was the first one in Bolton. Yeah. You were?
Yes. Not in Bolton, but we did have a couple in Warrington. I know Vinesh was part of the Bal Vikas camp in Newcastle and possibly Bolton as well. But my memories of Bal Vikas camp were the ones that we did at our Warrington centre. So the girls would stay at Auntie and Uncle's house, Retnes Auntie and Vera and Uncle's house, and all the boys would stay with my mum and dad. And, you know, we used to be quite interested to know, you know, oh, what did you do in the evening and what did you get up to? And I think the boys had it a little bit easier than we did.
It sounds really great and enjoyable throughout.
Oh, it was. You know, we were a family, and even those friendships that we made in SSE, they're with us now, and we've all stayed as a family. You know, I wouldn't class the people that I know in the SSE organization as friends or colleagues. They really are our SSE family, and I'm sure I'll have the opportunity to mention a few things.
As you said about the Ishwarama Day celebration in London, we used to have a coach coming from Bolton at the crack of dawn, and they would be here at 4 a.m. and we would be getting ready to go at that time, and you know, we had to be very quiet and not be disturbed.
Yeah.
And you would get on the bus and you would sing bhajans and they would bring snacks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, and then after that, coming back, everyone's so tired and they fall asleep. But it was a lovely, lovely experience. And we tell friends who said, have you ever been to London in a coach at the crack of dawn? Things like that, it stays with you.
It does, definitely. Some great memories there.
Yeah. I know you have great faith in Swami, no doubt. Has your faith been challenged? And if so, would you be happy to talk about it?
Yeah. I think for people in Region 5 who know our family and who have known us for quite some time, you'll all be very familiar with what I'm about to tell you. When I was 16 years old, so that's about 23 years ago now. Dad passed away very suddenly, very unexpectedly, on the 24th of April 1997. And this is the same day as Swami's Mahasamadhi Day as well, in 2011. It was an absolute shock to the family, to Jaish, to Mum, to myself, because he wasn't ill, and he spent 3 weeks in intensive care. And our Sai family was such a huge support to us at this time. We would have, like yourself, Auntie, you used to come to visit daily. Many other of our aunties, uncles, and I can say Sai brothers and sisters, they would all come and give us support when he was in hospital, to visit him, to prepare meals, because we were quite young at the time. And Mum was in visiting Dad, and she was with him pretty much 24 hours a day. And whilst our grandparents were here as well, looking after us, our Sai family was, I just can't thank everyone enough for what they did. It was above and beyond what anyone could possibly do. When he was ill, obviously people would say, pray to Swami. He'll come home, he'll be okay. And I think as Sai devotees, we put your 100% faith into Swami, and you pray that things will get better. But at that young age, I don't think the idea of surrender was, we didn't really understand what it meant or what it was. I think our prayers now are more like, Swami, whatever you do, however much it might hurt us, or we don't know or understand why you're doing it, we will accept it. But that didn't enter our heads at that time. We just wanted him to come home, get better, and everything to go back to normal. But Swami has his ways, and for whatever reason, for our karma, for Dad's karma, it wasn't meant to be that way. And he did unfortunately pass away. And that was the hardest, most difficult period of our life. Swami gave us indications or visiting cards that he was with Dad that whole time. So on one occasion when Mum came home from the hospital, she'd just come to freshen up and just make sure that we were at home, we were okay. We'd got home from school. She came to freshen up. She went back to the hospital, and one of the intensive care nurses told her, oh, that man who's in the picture next to your husband, and we put a small photo of Swami next to my dad's bed. He came to see your husband when you were at home. And Mum was like, are you sure it was this person? And she said, yeah, that man with the hair, he came. So this nurse said that she saw Swami there, and and on my dad's hands there was vibhuti scattered all over. So Swami was there, he was with him, he was guiding him to whatever the next chapter would be. But it was hard, and it did test our faith. And even now, thinking about it, it never gets easier. But I think as we come to know more about Swami and try to understand his ways, this is something that was part of his life and part of our lives, and had to happen, but very, very hard to live and go through. Especially, well, for all of us, but Mum was only 42 at the time, and I think in a couple of years that's going to be me, and how hard it must have been for her to raise 2 children. But she was the best mum. I couldn't ask for anything else. She's been mum and dad to us, and she really is a rock. She's unbelievable. She's the best mum that anybody could ever ask for, and we're very lucky that Swami gave her to us. So that really challenged our faith. When he passed away, when Dad passed away, obviously we had the 11 days where we did prayers at home for the for his soul, And everyone who came to the house, all our Sai family, all our family, commented on how peaceful the house felt. You must remember, Auntie, that the atmosphere that was at home, it was very peaceful. And you'd think that when somebody so young passes away, how can that be? But obviously Swami's presence was there, and he was giving us strength and courage. Although we might not have felt it at the time, looking back, his guiding hand was there. And yes, that time was a very difficult time, but with his love, with his guidance, we are where we are today, and we'll always have that with us throughout our lives.
He would be very proud of you both.
Oh, Auntie, I hope so. I'm sure. I hope he would be. Before he passed away, I was having a recurring dream that Swami was in. So this was happening probably a good few months, maybe 6 months or so before he passed away. And it wasn't every night, but it was on a number of nights per month. And my dad used to travel a lot with his job. So I had this recurring dream that he was on a train platform, and he was boarding a train, and he was going on a journey far away. And I knew it was far away, and I knew it was going to be a long, long time till I saw him again. And Swami would be on the platform, but in the background, in the distance, not close up. And I even told my dad about this dream. I said, "Oh, I don't understand this. Are you going somewhere? Are you, where are you off to next?" Because he was always, Japan, America, Germany, and that was his line of work. And he laughed. He said, "Oh, who knows where I'm going, And he was actually due to be in America in the April when he passed away. So I think maybe Swami was preparing, or, hinting, or sort of saying that, yes, he is going on a journey, and I am going to be with him. So when I think about that now, and when I thought about it back then, it was a comfort to know that Swami was going to be with him. But it was difficult nonetheless. I was cross with Swami for taking him away, especially, when you hear stories of Swami healing people. There's even stories of Swami's brought people back from after they passed away. And in my naive young age, I'd pray, "Swami, this is just a horrible thing that's gone wrong. Bring him back, bring him back." But, as time went on, obviously, you accept what Swami's will is, and he gives you the strength to take each day as it comes.
That's a sign of faith, your faith in Swami.
Yeah, it's tricky, but I think it's because of him we have that faith, and that's what we hold on to. A couple of other things, if I may share with you about testing faith. So when I was pregnant with Shanti in 2008, at about 32 weeks, I just went for a routine checkup, and I was telling the nurse that I'd been really itchy, and I had some tests, and it was diagnosed that I had something called obstetric cholestasis. And we spoke to the consultant, and they said that there would be a chance that Shanti may have been born stillborn because of that condition. And at 32 weeks, it felt like the biggest blow, because we'd come so far, and Ganesh and I were both really upset, really concerned. We didn't know what the future would hold, but obviously we put our faith into Swami. And my first instinct when we heard that news was, you have to help us. We can't think of anything else. We're expecting the baby. Please help us to deal with, what's to follow. And that night, Swami appeared to me in a dream, and he handed me a baby dress, a baby girl's dress, a pink one. And at that moment, I felt like it would be okay. He was there, he knew what was going on, and he was going to handle it, and everything would be okay. And she was born a couple of weeks early, but she was okay. So that was a real another test of faith at that point. And even when I was pregnant with Isha, there were a couple of complications early on, and again we weren't too sure, if the pregnancy would continue or not, because of some concerns. And again, Swami appeared in a dream with the baby pink dress, and I thought, okay, he knows what he's doing, and I've just got to have faith that whatever happens, he knows what he'll do, and he'll give us the tools that we need to be able to deal with whatever happens. And then he appeared again. So when a week before, my brother Jaish and my sister-in-law Aditi actually shared the very happy news that Aditi was pregnant with Sanvi, I had another dream of Swami giving me another pink dress, and I thought, oh, I don't understand this. And they shared their news with us that they were expecting, so that was really exciting, and it was wonderful that Swami had been a part of all of that. At around about 6 months into Aditi's pregnancy with Sanvi, Swami again appeared in a dream to me, and he was very, very strict, and I've never had this experience before. But hearing some of the talks on Radio Sai about what Swami has said about how he appears in dreams, if he gives you specific instructions, you have to carry those out in the way that he tells you. Whereas though I think sometimes it's a little bit more vague, and you might interpret it in different ways. But in this dream that Swami came, he said a mantra, and he said to me that I was to tell Aditi what this mantra was, and she was to repeat it like in a japamala. And he must have made me say these words of the mantra over and over again. Pretty much the whole night this dream continued, and I had to get the pronunciation exactly right. And when I was saying it wrong, he was telling me off, and he said, no, you must say it like this. So by the time I woke up, I'd mastered what it was, and I shared the news with them. And she did, what Swami had asked her to do. And Sanvi was born in November. She's going to be 7 this year. Sanvi has Dravet syndrome, which is a very rare form of epilepsy. And I think Swami was giving us, whatever guidance he needed to at that time for Aditi and for Jaish, and for all of us, really. He was kind of telling us that maybe he knew what was happening, and he was giving strength and the tools to know how to look after her. And she's a real blessing. She's an inspiration to all of us. She does things that you think, oh wow, she makes everyone so happy, and she's such a strong little girl. And if anyone who's watching ever has the chance to meet her, you'll be blown away when you meet her. She's awesome.
Yes, she is wonderful. She is. And so are your children. They're beautiful children. They're intelligent, and I've seen them blossoming, really. And I can see it is all due to you and your family, as well as Ganesh, for bring them up with the faith or with Swami. And I'm sure this is more than anything anyone can wish for.
It's all with Swami's grace. I think without him, these things wouldn't be there, but he's always there guiding, instructing and helping us to hopefully do the right thing by him.
And you are. And thank you for sharing your personal experiences with us. You are a Bal Vikas teacher as well as coordinator, regional coordinator. And you are also a Region 5 lead for the Sathya Sai UK Healthcare Committee. Could you talk to us about your role?
Yeah. So previously I was the Region 5 SSE Coordinator, and I really enjoyed that role. Teaching has been such a huge part of my life, starting off kind of in practice as pharmacist, but then, moving on to becoming a lecturer at university. So I thoroughly enjoy teaching, and, it's I think it's Swami who's pushed me into that direction, because it wasn't something that I necessarily thought about as I was growing up. But I really like being a part of young people's lives, where you can support them and, you know, help them overcome their challenges. Because growing up in the UK, it's, you know, there's so many peer pressures around you, and, you know, whilst you have Swami's teachings and you know what you should do, it's about having the strength to actually act on those, and believe that Swami is with you and watching and guiding all the time. And that's where the strength comes from. So, you know, I've enjoyed sharing that and my own experiences with children. And, you know, they look at you now and they think, oh, did that happen to you as well? And you say yes. And, you know, you talk about how you dealt with it. So it's nice to be able to do that. More recently, I have become the regional healthcare committee lead. And that was a role that I actually wasn't expecting to take on. So Aditi and Jaysh's little girl, Rhea, back in January, she had sepsis and she was very, very poorly. She was in Alder Hey intensive care for quite some time, and it was an extremely daunting, very scary time for the whole family. And when she recovered and she came home, obviously all our prayers Swami had really listened, and he'd been so kind and brought her home. And the day she came home, it was on February the 14th this year, I said to Swami, how can I thank you? How can I express my gratitude to you? And it was within a couple of days, I had a phone call from Sanjay Vaja, our regional president, and he said to me, there's this role and I was wondering if you'd like to do it. And I thought instantly, you know, that's Swami saying, this is what you can do for me. You asked, so you can do this. And that's how I came to know about that role and took it on. So it involves working with the National Healthcare Committee. So when it comes to organising things like health awareness days, or liaising with Prashanti Council about medical camps that are taking place both in India and also worldwide, and obviously making sure that patient safety is key to all of those things, and we have the right quality assurance and protocol in place, and, you know, really making sure that we are doing things as they should be done. So that's been a very interesting role, particularly during this pandemic, where things like mental health have been, you know, a real priority for everyone. So, you know, we've been developing tools to share with young people and others as well who feel that they would benefit from those. But there's been lots of excellent work going on by many centres in the UK associated with that.
Well, thank you, Harsha. It has been a joy talking to you. Being a housewife, a mother, and in full-time job, as well as serving Swami with love and dedication, is blessing indeed from our beloved Swami, who is with you always. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Jai Sai Ram.